Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the tafsir class. We've reached ayah 168 of Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nas, kulu mimma razaqnakum min al-ard, wa la tattabi'u khutuwati ash-shaytan, innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing all mankind. If you remember the difference between the Makki and the Madani ayat, one of the differences we said that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses mankind, in general, this ayah is Makki or Madani? Makki. However, this surah is a Meccan surah or Medinan surah? It is Medinan surah. Therefore, some scholars said this ayah in particular is Meccan ayah. But if someone came and said, no, it is Medinan ayah, from this ayah, regardless of the surah itself, how can you prove that it is Medinan ayah? Ya ayuha nas, kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiba. Yes. Very good. It is talking about the details of the rulings. And usually this is in Mecca or Medina. It is in Medina. So anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing all mankind. All mankind. Eat of that which is lawful and good on the earth. كُلُوا مِمَّا فِي الْأَرْضِ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا. Now, as Rimza said, this is about a ruling. And the rulings, who's the one who will adhere to the rulings and will listen to them? The Muslims or the non-Muslims? The Muslims. So why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses all mankind if it's only the Muslims who will adhere to it? What do we learn from this?
All of mankind are supposed to be subservient to Allah.
Okay.
Supposed to be obedient to Allah.
Yes. All mankind should be obedient to Allah.
The guidance that Allah sent is not only for one section, but
Yes, for mankind. So what do we learn from this? The kuffar, this is an issue that we will discuss next year, inshallah, in Usul al-Fiqh. Yes. That's good also. That's one possibility also, that even the kuffar, when they adhere to the Islamic rulings, they will benefit. Scholars derived from this a ruling, which is that the kuffar will be responsible for disobeying the Islamic rulings, even though they are not Muslims, but still they had to adhere to the Islamic rulings. Now a kafir, he did not say La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, yet he will be responsible for not fasting. He will be responsible for eating if he ate from the flesh of the swine, if he drank alcohol. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the kuffar, مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ, what have brought you here in hellfire? They said, لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ, we used not to pray. Now if they are not Muslims, already they will not pray. So in this ayah, scholars said that even the kafir, he is responsible and he has to pray and he has to do all these things. But if he did it while he is not a Muslim, would it be accepted? It won't be accepted, yet he had to do it, which means he had to become Muslim. This is an issue that will be discussed inshallah in details next year. So even the kuffar, they are responsible for the rulings of Islam. Now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, eat of that which is lawful and good on the earth. Now what do we learn from this? كُلُوا مِمَّا فِي الْأَرْضِ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا. Allah has provided for mankind. Now Allah says, eat of that which is lawful. Did He specify what do we eat? Exactly. Eat onions, eat this, eat that, or it's just eat of that which is lawful and good. Yes. Yeah, so here it is general. But in other ayat, He specified the things that we eat. Like what?
No, he specified the
Very good. He specified the things that we don't eat. And what do we learn from this?
Generally, everything is good.
That's the ruling. Generally, in essence, everything is halal, is lawful. Now, if someone came and said, no, actually what is haram is more than what is halal, how can you prove from the ayah that this is wrong? That what is halal is actually more than what is haram? How can you prove this from the ayah? Khalil, are you with us or you're busy with the... What is more? What is halal or what is haram? What's the evidence? Someone came and said, oh, you are Muslims, you don't eat pork, you don't drink alcohol, you don't...
What is more? What's halal and haram? What's halal is a lot more than what's haram.
What's the evidence? From the ayah.
Is provided for mankind, all of mankind.
Now, here is the thing. If you have something which is much more than the other thing, and someone asked you about both, which one you mention?
It will be a lot easier to mention what's haram.
It will be a lot easier to mention what is less, right? So here, what is mentioned?
What's less? Here, eat with what's lawful, what's halal.
In general, eat what is lawful, but was it specified?
No.
No. What does that mean? Now, if what is haram is more, would I come and tell you, look, you can eat? You will tell me, oh, what do I eat? Everything is haram. If I'm telling you to eat, if I'm proud of something that I'm giving you, doesn't that mean it is a lot? Abundance? You see, that's the point of the ayah. Yes? Yes. Eat and do not eat so and so. So eat is general. We learn from this that in essence, what is halal is more. What do we eat is much more than what do we don't eat. If the case was the other way around, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would tell us, do not eat. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would even not tell us. Because is this a favor or not, to eat what is halal? Allah is reminding us that I prepared for you halal things to eat. If it was not a lot, there is no favor here. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the favor. This is the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that everything is halal. And then there will come the exception. The Prophet ﷺ was asked during the Hajj, what the muhrim can wear. What can you wear as dressing of ihram? So what was the answer of the Messenger ﷺ? Wear this and that and this and that. What was the answer? You forgot? We took that in chapter of Hajj. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا يلبس المحرم. The muhrim should not wear qamis, the shirt, ولا العمائم, turbans, ولا السراويل, the pants. Now the question was about what? What to wear or what not to wear?
What you cannot wear.
What you wear. But his answer was, what you cannot wear. Why? Because what you wear is much a lot than what you cannot wear. What you cannot wear is less. That's why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned what you cannot wear. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that what you can eat is a lot. Eat. Eat. He is reminding us of His favor that we can eat. Eat of that which is lawful and good on earth. Now this is the first thing. What is halal and what is good is much, much more. What else can we learn, which is very important also?
That the Shaitaan consumes what is unlawful and what is not pure.
We did not come yet here, but we're still in the first part. If someone came and wanted to eat chicken, is it mentioned in the Quran that you can eat chicken? No. So does he have to find an evidence from the Prophet ﷺ that he can eat chicken? Or from the Quran? Why? Why?
Of that which is lawful and good.
Okay, that's the thing here. That's the lesson. In essence, you can eat whatever you want. So you don't need an evidence to provide to eat something. But whoever says you cannot eat, he has to provide the evidence. That's why whenever someone says you cannot eat this, you say, what is the evidence? But if someone came and said, why you are eating this, can you eat it? What is the evidence that you can eat it? You say, I don't need an evidence. That's what we learn also from this ayah. Because Allah is telling us that on earth, in principle, everything is halal and lawful. Now, is it everything on earth halal? Is everything on earth halal and good? Everything? No. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, eat of that which is lawful and good on the earth. When we give a general ruling, does not mean that it includes every single thing. That's why in Arabic we say, Al-Ghalib ya'khudhu hukm al-kull. And again, this is another issue of usul al-fiqh. We'll talk about it, inshallah. Okay, that's the first part of the ayah. The second part, and follow not the footsteps of Shaitan. Verily, he is to you an open enemy. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. What do you learn from this? Do not follow the footsteps of the Shaitan. How could someone follow the footsteps of the Shaitan? Does he have footprints?
Obeying what the Shaitan asks.
Obeying what the Shaitan asks to do. That's following the footsteps. Here in the ayah, how can someone follow the footsteps of the Shaitan? Eating what is prohibited. What else? Yes. Following the desires. How following the desires become following the footsteps of the Shaitan?
Because the desire comes from Shaitan and the nafs.
Islam means submission. So it entails that you will reject some of your desires in order to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the true submission. But if you follow your desire, then you are not following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That means you are following the footsteps of the Shaitan. Okay. Why can't we follow the Shaitan? Why? Yes. He's our enemy. Now this is the question. Always? Is he always enemy? Doesn't he come one day and says, today I will help you?
Just like he helped before us to worship idols.
What do you think? You have always to... Can't we have truce with the enemy? Yeah, we can. Not with the Shaitan. Why? Why? So the Shaitan, is it always an enemy to us? Always?
He promised that.
Always? What about the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu? Do you know the hadith?
Where the Shaitan taught him.
Yeah, Ayatul Kursi. Yes.
Yes, but he's a liar.
He's a liar, but
In this case, he spoke the truth.
but he spoke the truth. So if someone came and said, well, in this case, he helped me, what do you think? And he gave this this hadith.
What was his intention?
Yes, Khalil.
Just because he gave them good information on this occasion or that occasion doesn't mean that he should be followed even God.
Yeah, I'm not telling, I am following him as an example. But in some things, few things, maybe that was good.
Okay, no problem.
No problem. So if someone followed the Shaitan, there's no problem.
No, there's no problem that he gave good information here and there, but still he's an enemy.
Fine. So if I admit that he's an enemy, and one day I said I will steal today because the Shaitan told me and today it is good, and after 5 days also I will not pray because the Shaitan told me and maybe today it is good. It is fine to follow him from time to time, not always.
No, I think when he told us about Ayatul Kursi,
Mhm.
the Prophet he confirmed that what he said was right. If the Prophet didn't confirm that, then we wouldn't know it was right.
Very good. That's one of the things. How do you know that the Shaitan is telling the truth in this case? Because Allah is telling you His open enemy. You need an evidence to prove the opposite to this, which you don't have. Yes? Yeah. Now here is the other thing which I wanted to say. Shaitan will not give you free hasanat. Never. If you thought he gave you something, be sure that he took greater from you.
It's a good strategy of the enemy
Yeah.
to give you something that is good.
Yes.
And then
Never ever listen to the shaitan, because if you listened and you thought that is good, he is taking from you and he is causing you to do greater evil. Again, why Allah is saying open enemy? Wasn't it enough to say enemy? Yes.
Because he started from like Adam alayhi salam, so it's very open. I mean,
He started from Adam alayhi salam, so it could be said his old enemy.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's very open. He submitted to Allah, and then he led man away.
Okay, if he is very open, why don't we see him? What's the openness here? What's the openness?
What is the word?
He's an open enemy. Aduun mubin. Or in another translation, he is clear enemy.
Clear enemy.
Clear. How clear? Do you see him? I don't see him.
but innate, we know when something
We know when something...
is wrong.
Very good. This is an evidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the ability to know and to distinguish what is right and what is wrong. This is an evidence that the rulings of the Sharia are clear. So there is no excuse to someone and say, I did not know that this is following the footsteps of the shaitan. You don't have excuse. Even though you don't see the shaitan, you don't see him physically, but still you can tell that this is haram or this is from the shaitan. The next ayah, 169. إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. He commands you. He. Who's he? Shaitan. Why shaitan? Yes, he's the last one mentioned. He commands you only what is evil. Only. Look. So can the shaitan tell you what is good? Allah is generally, but here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you only what is evil and sinful. And that you should say about Allah what you know not. إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. What do we learn from this ayah? Is it permissible to guess in the rulings of Islam? Why? Why not take a chance?
Because of the hadith.
What hadith? Now we're talking about the ayah here. Why not take a chance? Why can't you guess in the rulings?
Because you can't sin. It's a sin.
How it is a sin? Yes. No, sorry. I'm not saying something on behalf of the Messenger ﷺ. I'm not narrating a hadith. I'm giving a ruling of Sharia. From the ayah, how can you prove that this is haram? Yes.
You have no right of legislation. If you get, that means that you have no...
Okay. We'll break it down. Let's say someone said about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that which he did not know, or without an evidence. And he said that's the ruling.
He's assuming.
This is from Allah or this is from the shaitan? Allah says here it is from the shaitan, because the shaitan commands you to say that which you don't know. And if it's from the shaitan, is it a good or it is a sin? It is a sin, because Allah says the shaitan only commands you that which is evil and sinful. So you did something that the shaitan asked you to do. That means you did something sinful. That means it is haram. It is haram. Saying that what you don't know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? Sinful. The next ayah. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمُ اتَّبِعُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ قَالُوا بَلْ نَتَّبِعُ ما وجدنا عليه آباءنا أولو كان آباؤهم لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون. When it is said to them, follow what Allah has sent down. Them, who's them? When it is said to them. Mankind. All mankind say we follow only what our fathers, disbelievers. So it is the disbelievers. When it's said to the disbelievers, follow what Allah has sent down. What did Allah send down? The Quran, the books, the religion. They say, nay, we shall follow what we found our fathers following. Is it a problem to follow what your father has followed?
If it's wrong, yes.
If it's wrong, how do you know it is wrong or not?
By reading what's right, by reading all the books, by finding the truth for yourself if you're not a Muslim.
Here in this ayah, there is an evidence that if you follow anyone, but it is against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down, is it permissible? It is haram. That's what the kuffar did. Follow what Allah has sent down, and they said, we will only follow what we found our fathers, or what our fathers used to do. But what's the problem with that? Why not you follow your parents? They have more knowledge than you. You have to be dutiful to them, so why don't you follow them? Yes, that's exactly what Allah says. Even though their fathers did not understand anything, nor were they guided. So the issue is not who you follow. The issue is how you're following. Is there evidence, or it's just mere following? Now, what do you learn from this ayah? Are those people excused when they say we only followed our fathers? It's not our fault, we just did what our parents did. There's no excuse. They were given the choice. What else? Is it permissible to follow someone blindly? Even if he is Muslim? Why? Because again, the same ruling. What if he did not understand anything? So from this ayah also we can derive that taqleed, the blind following, is prohibited. And of course, you know the differences. If it's a layman, that's different. But exactly, we learn from this the importance of seeking knowledge. That's how you will know. That's how you will understand. What else? If you find someone, you give him the true guidance, and he says, I will follow only what I found my parents. Is that good? That's one of the characteristics of the kuffar. So Muslims should avoid it. We should avoid that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if He's talking about the kuffar, this Quran was sent to us. So we have to avoid saying the same thing, the same excuse. Also, we could learn from the ayah that no matter how much people are doing something, if it's wrong, then it is wrong. Be it our fathers, be it the community. Yeah, the truth is not known by men. It doesn't mean that if it's larger number, that means it is true. All these are lessons learned from this ayah. The next ayah, democracy. وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا كَمَثَلِ الَّذِي يَنْعِقُ بِمَا لَا يَسْمَعُ إِلَّا دُعَاءٌ وَنِدَاءً صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. What's the example of the disbelievers here? And the example of those who disbelieve is as that of him who shouts to those that hear nothing but calls and cries. They are deaf, dumb, and blind, so they do not understand. This is very interesting ayah. Now the kuffar, are they blind? Are they dumb? Are they deaf? The
كمثل.
example. Yeah, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives true examples. Yes.
They're not in the physical.
Rejecting it when it comes to them. They're deaf that they hear the words of Allah, but they pretend that they can hear it. They're dumb, like, the signs are there, but they reject it. They're blind and seeing it.
So rejecting, like if you tell me see this and I tell you I don't want to see it, do I become blind? So what? Now first, are they blind or not? The kuffar. Do they have eyes? They can see. They have.
Not in the physical sense.
Not in a physical sense. So can you tell someone, even though he has eyes, that he is blind?
Yes.
How?
Because somewhere it is plain and it's evident that the proofs are there. You still cannot see and understand. You're blind.
What's the use of having the eyes?
See.
See. See what?
You see everything, and then
You see everything.
and then you divide, and you with the brain that's given to you from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, you divide what's wrong and what's right, like what's said in the ayah before.
What about the ears? Why you have ears?
Same purpose. But
To listen.
hearing.
Here, the ayah is interesting because in the ayah, it tells you that if you use what you are given in other purposes, if you don't use them in the main reason they were created for, then as if you don't have them. What's the use if you have eyes, but you don't see the truth with your eyes? What's the use if you have ears, but you don't hear the truth? You hear other things. Yes, you may hear, but you don't hear the truth, the most important thing. So you are deaf. You're blind. And again, blindness does not mean physical blindness. And in this ayah, the blindness is worse than the physical blindness. Not hearing the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is worse than not having physical hearing. Because that's the main reason why they are put there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you to use your body, your organs, your senses in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't use them in that sense, then it's as if you don't have them. And that's why, that's the true blindness. He's the true deaf and he's the true dumb. The one who don't use them for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created them for. That's why in the other ayah it came clear. لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ, they have hearts in which they don't understand. لَا يَعْقِلُونَ بِهِ وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهِ. They have ears. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling they have ears, but they don't hear with it. So we learn from this, is the disbeliever dumb?
Yes.
Yes, he may have a PhD, he may have millions of dollars.
It doesn't
How can you say he is dumb?
because he can't hear the truth. And he has hearing, but he uses it in purposes that's not beneficial to his hereafter.
Again, this ayah is interesting because, yes, you could say every disbeliever is dumb. No matter how many degrees he has, no matter how much money he collects. Because he left the most important thing and he went after things that will not benefit him. Remember what Ibn Hazm said, rahimahullah? The true irrational. Who's the true irrational? The disbeliever. And they themselves, on the Day of Judgment, they will admit that. وَقَالُوا لَوْ كُنَّا نَسْمَعُ أَوْ نَعْقِلُ مَا كُنَّا فِي أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. They will admit that. They will say, if we had ears, if we but listened, or had sound hearts, we wouldn't have been here in hellfire. فَاعْتَرَفُوا بِذَنبِهِمْ. So they admitted their guilt. They admitted that they were not understanding. They are dumb. From this ayah, you could tell every disbeliever is dumb. No matter how many degrees he has, no matter how much money he collects. The next ayah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم واشكروا لله إن كنتم إياه تعبدون. O you who believe, eat of the lawful things that we have provided you with, and be grateful to Allah. Now we just mentioned the same ayah, right? Just 2 ayats earlier. Yes. This is for the Muslims. What's the difference? Why not one ayah only for everybody? Aren't Muslims from mankind? Yes. So why we exclude them and mention them again? This is because talking about be grateful to Allah. So what do you learn from this?
That because Allah has given you all the ni'mah, the lawful food, that you're going to come back to Him in your worship for being grateful to that.
Yeah, that means the kafir is not grateful.
Also, this is also show the love and concern that He has for the Muslims, that He separate them now.
Yes, that's emphasis, exactly. The mankind were mentioned in general, and now the Muslims are mentioned in particular. Yes?
To eat of the lawful things is a sign of Iman.
Very good. To eat of the lawful things is a sign of Iman. Why? Because you are avoiding what is unlawful. That means you adhere to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you are a believer. Now here Allah says, and be grateful to Allah if it is indeed He whom you worship. Now Allah said, oh you who believe. So they are already believers. Can you be a believer without worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Can you? You cannot. You have to be a believer to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So why Allah is saying, if it is indeed He whom you worship? What do you learn from this?
He's also talking to the Christians, I think, in this ayah.
How? He's talking to the Christians, and in the beginning he's telling, oh you who believe. It is only for Muslims. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu.
It's only for Muslims, this ayah.
That's what it says. So what do you learn from this? If it is indeed He whom you worship, could a believer worship other than Allah? So why Allah is saying, if it's Allah indeed whom you worship?
It's just like telling your son, if I'm your father, you should obey what I tell you. It's affirming.
Yes. Now when you tell your son to do something, and you tell him, don't you love me? Doesn't he love you, your son? And doesn't he know that you know that he loves you? Why you repeat it? Don't you love me? You just want to tell him that if you love me, then you should listen. Again, look at the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He mentions the order to the Muslims in a way that it encourages them to obey. Yes?
I would say that if you think that you're certain, like if there is something you should be certain.
Yes, again, as a sign of belief, you have to do it. But here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us that when we read this, is it Allah indeed whom we worship? Of course, that means, okay, we have to obey this. Again, this is the style of the Quran, when we obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, be grateful to Allah. Only the believer is grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the disbeliever, he is ungrateful. And many people are not grateful, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in other ayat, وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ.
No, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to do what He's asking us to do, and instead of ordering us. It's
Yeah.
nothing new.
The way of ordering also is,
That's teaching us how to deal with other people,
yeah, that's true. How to ask others to listen.
not to order them.
Yeah, don't give direct orders, military orders. Do this, don't do this. Don't you love me? So do it. Next ayah. إنما حرم عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل به لغير الله فمن اضطر غير باغ ولا عاد فلا إثم عليه إن الله غفور رحيم. He has forbidden you only the mayta. What is the mayta?
Dead animal.
Dead animals. So if it's slaughtered, it is not mayta.
No, it's not.
It's not. If a fire worshipper slaughtered animal, it's not mayta.
He slaughtered it differently than us, or did he
The
say
same
Bismillah?
thing. He's fire worshipper.
But he didn't.
He says in the name of fire.
لم يهل بسم الله. He did not mention the name of Allah, and did not slaughter it like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet told us how to slaughter animals. It wasn't slaughtered to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
What's the definition of mayta?
animal that died other than our way of slaughtering and
The animal that is died unslaughtered Islamically.
Islamic.
Or that's the meaning. So if you say only the dead animal, that's not perfect. That's one type of the maita. What was not slaughtered Islamically, that's the maita. Anything that was not slaughtered Islamically, because someone could mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it was slaughtered with bone. It is maita, it is still maita. Why the maita is forbidden?
And even if it was slaughtered properly, without the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
We're coming to this. But the regular maita, the dead animal.
because it still contains the blood and it could have diseases. That's why it died.
So what do you learn from this? If it's harmful,
That He wants the good for us.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends only good things for us. That Islam is correct. And blood. What about blood? Why is blood haram?
It's very harmful to humans.
It's very harmful. Why?
Because it is. It causes a lot of blood diseases.
What if,
We know that now, but they did not know that back then.
you know, all what happens in your body is in the blood. Because the blood runs in your veins. And it takes lots of time. It's very difficult to digest blood. Very difficult. It's very harmful. It is harmful, the blood. So it is forbidden. What if there were some remainings? Like you're eating liver of cow and there was, you cooked it and you found that there were some blood remaining. Can you eat it or you cannot? You can. Why? Is it blood or not? It is blood. Allah says blood is haram. Yes.
There's another ayah that mentions excessive blood. All is mentioned but it's excessive blood.
أو دما مسفوحا. Yes.
So therefore I'll use that.
Not excessive blood, but it is the blood. There is a rule in Islam. Whatever is difficult to avoid is permissible to be done. Can you avoid blood totally? Impossible. So how can we say it is haram? That means you won't eat. Right? You wanted to say something? Yeah. Yeah. And the flesh of swine. وَلَحْمَ الْخِنْزِيرِ. Again, can we eat لحم الخنزير? We can. We can eat the flesh of the swine. Why? Is that what Allah says?
But that's from the preserve life.
We're talking about regular cases. Okay, if someone came and said, I will not eat the flesh of the swine, I will eat the skin of the swine. What do you think? Why Allah mentioned the flesh of the swine? وَلَحْمَ الْخِنْزِيرِ. Again, that's the style of the Quran, because that's what's usually meant from that animal. The meat. If the meat is forbidden, that entails everything else is forbidden. You cannot come and say, oh, the meat is haram, so I will avoid the meat, but I will take the skin. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade on the Jews the meat, they took the fat and they burnt it and then they sold it and they took the money. So it is all haram. And in the other ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that it is najis, rijs. It is filth, impure. And can you eat something impure? No. Also from here, al-mayta, is al-mayta pure or impure? Impure. Blood. Scholars derived from this ayah the ruling that the blood is impure. If it's pure, you can drink it. Since you cannot drink it, you cannot eat it, that means it is impure. The blood is impure. And that which is slaughtered as a sacrifice for other than Allah. This is also forbidden. Now, how many types are mentioned here in the ayah? We have al-mayta, we have the blood, we have the flesh of the swine, and we have what is slaughtered or sacrificed for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 4 things. Now, first 3 things, let's say we agree, it is harmful. It has evil consequences. But what about the last one? It's slaughtered with a knife, just exactly like the Muslims do. But the only difference, the one who did it, he is pagan. What's the difference? Someone is slaughtering and saying in the name of Allah, and another one came and slaughtered in the name of the moon. Is the animal harmful anymore to eat? You don't know the answer. Who knows? Who can tell? The question, why it is forbidden not to eat from the sacrifice of pagans? Now, if you say it's health, it's the same. It is the same. Yes? Fatima says shirk. It is shirk. How it is shirk? I am eating. I am not disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am not associating partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes?
If it's killing a creature, a living thing, so we need purpose for that killing.
Exactly. You need purpose. I'm killing it to eat it.
I know, but that has to be for the one who created the thing, not somebody else.
Because Allah's
Well,
name is not mentioned.
Allah's name is not mentioned. Now, he made kufr by slaughtering to other than the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he gave me that meat. Why can't I eat it?
Because I'm supposed to eat
Why?
only what Allah's name was mentioned.
Well, first of all, this is again the true submission. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can test us with 2 similar things, and He could tell us this is halal and this is haram. Second, you may say that from health perspective there is no difference, but there may be difference on your iman, on your spirit. This was Allah's name was mentioned here, and there Allah's name was not mentioned, and that affects. Even now they are making researches about the influence of the deen, listening to the Quran, even for the babies. So it could affect. Still, I disagree that it's totally the same. It's not the same. That's the name of Allah was mentioned here. Here, the name of the Shaitaan or whatever was mentioned. So it is different. It may affect your heart.
With the animal here in the name of Allah, when slaughtered, you don't know what it can.
Yeah, maybe that's also another thing. Yes.
Yeah, I was saying that just because Allah ordered you this ayah, that you should do it, and
Yeah.
know if you believe. And
Yeah.
also said because you can do it also you're supporting your person.
Yeah, that's again another thing, because you are considered as supporting them, but that's related to the aqidah. Now someone would come and say, I want from health perspective. We tell him it's all one thing. It's full package. Okay, now these are 4 forbidden things. But if one is forced by necessity, without willful disobedience, nor transgressing due limits, then there is no sin on him. Now, that means it's not forbidden totally. There are exceptions. There are exceptions. What are these exceptions? When you are forced by necessity, can you eat from those forbidden things when it is very, very urgent? Can you eat? Can you or can't you?
Yes, you can.
Why you can?
To save your life.
To save your life. What do you learn from this? If Allah says it is forbidden, but if there is one case where you need it, you can eat it. What do you learn from
The
this?
life of the Muslim is a lot more important in certain cases.
The life of the Muslim is very important. Yes. Allah's mercy, Fatima. Very good. Allah's mercy. Because Allah was able to command us not to eat at all, even if we die. You learn that the purpose of the Islamic rulings is not to burden, is not to make it difficult on us. It is for our benefit, our own advantages when we listen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do we learn also? Now, Allah says if someone was forced by necessity without willful disobedience, is there a sin on him? The ayah says there is no sin. So if someone was not forced by necessity and he ate, what do you learn from this? There is sin on him. That means eating from those things is halal or haram. It is haram. Here is the thing. Now the mayta, we already said it is harmful, right? Now, is the mayta changed once according to your need? If you need it, it doesn't become harmful? Or it's still the same? It's still the same, so why now it is halal? What?
Because of the need of
Sustaining the life. You are sustaining your life, but aren't you harming your body as well? Aren't you yes.
You'd rather live than die, and you could get sick. I mean,
Yes, you could get sick. What do we learn from this? Yes. Khalil.
This situation, the harm does not outweigh the good.
The harm does not outweigh the good.
Staying alive is better.
Yes.
There's a small harm that
There is a rule. If there are two evils, you do the lesser one to avoid the greater one. What are the two evils here? Losing your life and harming your body. What is greater evil? Losing your life. So what do? You may harm your body, but to save your life. And this is a rule always. It will come with us, inshallah. Sometimes, in some situations, there are two evils. You don't have choice. You have to do the evil. But some people, they are not given correct understanding. They commit the greater evil. They are literate. They don't understand. They commit the greater evil. In these situations, you take the lesser evil to avoid the greater evil. Now, okay, here's the question. Someone was in the desert and he was almost dying and he found a dead animal. Can he eat from it? Yes. Can he eat until he is full, or he eats only until he is not in a bad necessity anymore? Fatima. Just enough to survive. Why? Why?
Because the
Yes.
eating to a full is not necessary.
Okay, so what was allowed for a necessity becomes prohibited when that necessity is lifted, is removed. ما أبيح لضرورة يقدر بقدره.
Besides, we cannot eat until we're full anyway, even if the food is good.
You can.
Not according to the Prophet
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But that does not make it haram. We're talking about this case. Actually, some scholars, they said you can. You can. But this issue is later on. Now we need to learn the guidelines, the tafsir of the ayah. Next ayah. إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزل الله من الكتاب ويشترون به ثمنا قليلا أولئك ما يأكلون في بطونهم إلا النار ولا يكلمهم الله يوم القيامة ولا يزكيهم ولهم عذاب أليم. Verily those who conceal what Allah has sent down of the book and purchase a small gain therewith, they eat into their bellies nothing but fire. Allah will not speak to them on the day of resurrection, nor purify them, and theirs will be a painful punishment. Those who conceal what Allah has sent down of the book, who are they? Jews and Christians, and maybe some Muslims as well. If they conceal it, they conceal what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down of the book. But did the Jews conceal what Allah sent in the Quran? In the Quran. Can the Jews conceal? What's the book here? What Allah sent down of the book? Well, the Jews did not conceal anything of the Quran. They cannot. So how we can consider them concealing?
I thought this ayah was talking to the Muslims. That's how I understood.
Only Muslims.
That's how I understood.
What do you think?
Quran confirms also their scriptures.
The Quran confirms their scriptures. So
when they conceal their scriptures, justifying that what Allah sent in the Quran is the truth, they conceal it.
yes, the book here, though it is single, but it is plural. Denying one book means denying all books. Concealing in one book as concealing in all books. So even though they did not conceal in the Quran, if they concealed in their books, that means it's as if they concealed in all other books. And purchase a small gain, even if it was millions, it's still a small gain compared to what is waiting for them on the Day of Judgment. They eat into their bellies nothing but fire. What do they eat? Do they eat the money?
They eat what they purchased with that money.
They purchased houses. Do they eat the houses?
Their final reward, their recompense for what they do is the fire.
Yeah, but no, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا. This means on the Day of Judgment, that's what they'll consume in their bellies. Okay, but here on this life, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling eat into their bellies? Because that's the major thing that people get money for, to eat, to survive. Now even if you purchased houses, cars, you could give up all of this in a time of need. If there is emergency, would you say, no, I will stick to my car? You will leave. You just want something to survive. How can you survive? With food. So that's the essential thing. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned it. Allah will not speak to them on the day of resurrection. We learn from this that Allah speaks. And if Allah will not speak to those, does that mean Allah will speak to others? Yes. So we learn from this that Allah will speak to believers. Nor purify them. The kuffar are najas. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. وَلَا يُزَكِّيمْ. And theirs will be a painful punishment. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. You learn from this that concealing what Allah sent down of the book is what? Is it minor or major sin? It's a major sin. It is a major sin. Okay, we'll stop here inshallah. Is there any question? Go ahead.
You mentioned in ayah 168
168.
About what is allowed.
About what is allowed.
I thought this also is telling people that the people of knowledge has a great responsibility.
Yes, the people of knowledge has a great responsibility to deliver the message of Allah. That's one of the lessons. Yes, that's an important lesson.
And don't be afraid of anything.
Do not be afraid. Yes, we could learn that.
The painful punishment is a lot more than what you gain or not
Yeah.
gain in this world.
Yes, Fatima.
I was asking about the skin.
Yeah.
Do you do other things with it, like for example, if you use the skin as hand bags?
Can you use the skin? Well, there is difference of opinions. Now, if we say the khanzir is najis, it is najis by default. It is impure. Can you use something najis? You cannot. Could it be purified? It cannot. It is najis by default. But some scholars said yes, you can use it. Majority said no. What did you forgot?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay. Any other question? Okay, we'll stop here inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.